Hello everybody and welcome to Hey Good Lookin' What's Cookin' with R.A. Matt. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make a perfect chicken Alfredo with roasted red peppers, spinach, and mushrooms. So let's take a look at our ingredients on this table and I'll show you where to begin. Follow me. Hi everybody, so as you guys can see, looking at all the ingredients we have on this table, it seems like there's a lot. But just to let you guys know, I'm making a big dinner for like 12 people, so a lot of this is going to be like quadruple what I'm going to recommend to do. For example, looking at this heavy cream over here, we have 1 quart. 1 quart of heavy cream plus the milk, and I'll explain how that kind of ties with each other later. That's a lot. So usually when you go to a Walmart or Stop and Shop, you'll see those like little small, like pint size, practically like a half a quart, which would be a pint, right? And they're small. What you want to get is like a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you have a pint of heavy cream, you are then going to do like a pint of half and half. And half and half, right, is heavy cream and milk. So basically, what I just have is heavy cream and milk because I already have a gallon container. So I'm just going to kind of play with those fractions as is. But the best way to do is a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 heavy cream, right, to 1 half and half. If that was like a true fraction, it would be 3/4 heavy cream and 1/4 milk. That's kind of what you're gonna play with. A nice piece of chicken in the back, right, just waiting to be cooked. All right, so this is the spices that you're gonna need, which will basically make your Alfredo perfect, and your chicken too, because you want to season that. You want Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, parsley flakes, black pepper, any kind. This one's like a grinder on top, but any kind of black pepper. And to add a little kick to it is a crushed red pepper. So those kind of 5 spices are really what gonna make this thing pop. And then I just have some cans of mushrooms and spinach. Of course, you can use fresh ones, but as us college kids, we like to live on a budget, and so hence 80 cents mushrooms and $1 spinach will actually turn this cheap meal into like fine dining, and I'll show you when when it's completed. Whole boxes of pasta, different kinds. I like to do a rigatoni. You could even just do a simple spaghetti, gluten-free, whatever you kind of want to do. Again, cutting boards, some serving spoons. You're gonna definitely want either some kind of spatula or some sort of spoon when we have to kind of saute the mushroom, spinach, and the roasted red peppers. I'll show you next. Here is the Parmesan cheese for grating. When you're doing a standard 1 pint heavy cream, 1 pint half and half, you kind of want like a really like thick size container of Parmesan cheese grated. This one right here is 8 ounces. So usually you'll probably either use maybe 5 to 6 ounces, almost half of this, maybe a little more, depending on how cheesy and how thick you want it. And I'll explain, if you add too much cheese, you can always then thin it with the milk that we have, so we'll see. And then, of course, I have in this little plastic bag is the roasted red peppers, which we're going to cut up using, of course, the knives and the spatulas. All right, so that's kind of all that we have here, and it looks like a lot. And that's, again, just because I'm preparing for a big portion. I'm going to cook a small one today, and then we're just going to even use just this simple 4-burner stove is all we need to make this perfect. So let's start chopping. Okay, so besides ingredients, I want to show you also what kind of cookware we're going to be using. So just the standard pots and pans that we have here. You're going to definitely want a colander to drain out the pasta, of course. We're going to use just 1 pan to cook both the chicken and the vegetables in. And I'll show you, cook the chicken first, make sure it's all cooked or close to being like a medium rare piece, and then you're going to add everything and kind of slowly cook it together. Over here, if you're making that 1 pint half and half and 1 pint heavy cream, you would then just use a standard small saucepan. But because I'm basically making a gallon of Alfredo, we're going to use this big pot right here. I'm going to push it up in the front, and then of course we have our standard pot for water. So that's what we're kind of looking at right now. And now we're going to start filling up the pot with water, and then also getting the pan ready for the chicken and the oil. All right, so let's take out a piece of chicken. As you can see, there we go. All right. As you can see, it still has some fat off on the side over here, so we're just going to easily grab our lovely little knife and just cut that right off first. You don't want any of that in it. It's already going to be fatty enough when you have all the heavy cream. So just if you see any of these white bits, that's the fat. Just simply carefully trim them off as so. Okay. And these little black dots is too. It's just easier. Okay. Now you can do two things. You can either just put this entire piece whole, or you can kind of slice it. The best way to do this, if you want everything cooked evenly, is slice it, so that's what we're gonna do. The big side up first. You basically just put your hand on it and slowly kind of saw it off, having it be, flip it back, like that kind of size when you're cutting it, almost like twice the size of like the top part of the blade, and just carefully just kind of glide your hand over it, kind of saw it off. When you get to the other half, you can just put all your force to that side and simply go straight, and you have a standard piece. So you just layer it on top and then just keep going as such. Making sure you don't go too fast, as of course when chicken is very wet and slimy, it can get wet and slippery, and so you want to make sure that you're not also sawing off your hand when you're trying to saw off the chicken. We're just going to do a little pat, make it smoother, thinner. Do I butterfly it? Yeah, let me try to butterfly this a little bit. Another technique is called butterflying. You're going to kind of cut it more partly in half. You're then just going to kind of fold it over itself. Keep going a little down. Give it a good pat. And then this looks more like a stingray than a butterfly. This is kind of what you do. And then you layer it on top. Now at this point, most people would just start adding either olive oil or butter, right, to kind of start getting the chicken to cook. However, because you already have the roasted red pepper, there's already plenty of oil in here. Plus, you'll also get the juices from the peppers to cook within the chicken. We're just gonna pour a little bit in there, right? Smooth it out as you see. Perfect. And then we're just gonna simply move it on our hot plate. Okay, so now we have the chicken already starting over here. It's already starting to smoke. That's a good and a bad thing. Make sure you guys always learn to clean the tops of your stove before you cook. This is a great lesson in that. And on the top, we already have the water starting to bubble for all the pasta. All right, now we're gonna start doing the Alfredo sauce over here. We're gonna use both of our heavy creams as such, and because each one's a quart, and because we said it's a 3/4 heavy cream, 1/4 milk, we're gonna probably use at least a quarter, more or less, of the milk. And then, God forbid, if it gets too thin, we can always add either more milk to it, or if it gets too thick, we can always add more of our cheese. So let's start adding that stuff in the pot now. Okay, so we're gonna add the heavy cream in now. My heavy cream, I freeze it. That way I always have extra. So because I kind of froze it halfway, it's still more of a solid than liquid. It's not old, I promise you. It looks like it's powder, but no, it's still heavy cream. So there's still some a little bit stuck in there. We'll let that kind of still more or less defrost. We're gonna have the other bit now of heavy cream. Oh, come on. There we go. That one. That little bit's in there. And now we're going to add half of the milk. Or a quarter of the milk. Sorry, excuse me. A quarter of the milk. Perfect. Okay. So now we're just going to put this just on like a low medium, like a number 4 or so, and just slowly keep mixing it. Because this is still a little bit frozen, it's going to take its time. You do not want to heat up anything or make it too hot. Most of these sauces, just with the chicken, it takes its time. I'm going to keep stirring this constantly, and as it's kind of slowly becoming more liquidy, or again, it's already liquidy, what we're just going to do is start slowly adding our spices. So I'm going to move this spoon off to the side. Put in some of the red crushed pepper on here. We're now going to grab the Italian seasoning, a little bit of heavy sprinkles in there, nothing wrong with that. We're going to keep adding more and more to it as the sauce kind of thickens up. Some crushed pepper. Do some parsley on top as well. And then the garlic powder. Sometimes you don't want to overdo it with the garlic powder because it's so strong, but we're just going to add a little bit of a kick more. And again, we're going to keep testing it and tasting it as we go. Give that a nice mix. And again, because it's on a medium, it's going to slowly cook. As you could already see in the back over there, our chicken is starting to cook as well, which is great news for us. What we're gonna do with that is move some of the oil around, share it up. At this point, again, we're gonna also even add some parsley to the chicken, a little bit of garlic, some of the Italian seasoning we can do, and then we'll add all the roasted red peppers. Alright, so now I'm gonna grab a fork and flip them, and then we're gonna see how that comes out, and this should be bubbling soon. Okay, so now you guys can see that as the sauce is slowly thickening, right, it's still kind of very gloppy on the top over here, so it's not ready yet to add the cheese. Once it kind of thins out just a little bit more, then we're gonna add some to it. Or if it's still not ready yet, we might just add a little bit more milk. Now looking at the chicken over here, you can see it's practically done. You can see the water's already bubbling on top, so we can add our pasta in a couple more seconds, more or less. All right, as you see over here, there's still some pink on the side, but that's okay, as we're still gonna add our mushrooms and spinach and the roasted red peppers to it. It's all gonna slowly cook in itself. So we're gonna add just some of the peppers. We're gonna add some of the mushrooms in now, right? I'll kind of mix them all around. Just give me 1 second. Hard to do this with one hand. Grab the spinach. It looks gross. Trust me, it's not. Okay. We're then going to grab your chicken and just slowly just kind of get at it. Slowly kind of keep mixing it around, serving it over each other. Make sure the chicken is still on the bottom cooking. You're just gonna kind of have now the mushrooms and the spinach heating up as well. What we're gonna do next is then cut our roasted red peppers into strips, dice them up, and then put them on top of here. All right, this part's gonna be a little bit messy. When we have our roasted red pepper, again, it is covered and literally drenched in oil. So you wanna make sure that all of it's kind of dries out. Just make sure it's not as sopping wet, right? Just gonna put it on here. You're gonna first cut it in half. We're gonna work with this half later. We're just gonna put it off to the side. Okay, we're gonna completely open it up. Cut it in half again. Now you have like a quarter of the pepper. You're just gonna make small, skinny strips as such. Okay, so here we have 4 right here. We're gonna do it again on this side. All right? Okay, now line them all up together. Spin the entire board around. And now you're just gonna slowly and carefully dice them. There you go. Perfect. Okay, even do them a little bit more. Get them nice and small. Do it one more time. Perfect. A couple more. Okay. So, let's put this in, right? You might just need 1 or probably 2, probably 1.5 roasted red peppers. But see already, we have that already coming along. Grab our spoon and just mix it in. Okay, it's coming together. There's a little bit too much water from that spinach, so I'm probably gonna drain a little bit out. And then I even added some milk, more to the Alfredo just to thin it out. So yep, what I'm gonna do right here, sees all that water? Yep, we're gonna drain some of that out, either just using a spoon or a ladle, pouring it back in the kitchen, pouring it in back in the sink. We're then gonna put some more pepper, black pepper on top just to cook it all. That way the chicken cooks in it and the rest of the red peppers. We're gonna add a little bit more of those too. All right. A lot of quick stuff has just happened. I drained out more of that water on the bottom over here, making sure none of it kind of just got over itself. I then added the other half of the roasted red pepper in here, so that's all mixed in. The water was starting to boil, so I added already my 2 boxes of rigatoni pasta. You just have to make sure that, of course, the moment you settle it, you just have to keep stirring it to make sure nothing gets stuck on the bottom. Easier said than done, so just always keeping a good eye on it. Looking back into our Alfredo right now, look at how liquidy that is, right? So now we're ready to finally add more of the cheese, or finally put the cheese in it. We're gonna open up the top of your cheese, right? This is the full 8-ounce one. We're just gonna just slowly, just kind of sprinkle it in first. Don't go crazy putting all of it in right on the top. You're gonna grab your spoon again, right? And just slowly just mixing it together. inch. There we go, right? Slowly mixing it. Nothing hard, nothing crazy, right? You're gonna get clumps of cheese over here. Don't worry about it. It's always good to kind of crush it up from the sides or just let it slowly cook in itself. It'll kind of slowly it out. We're gonna add another thing of the rest of the cheese in here. There we go. Perfect. So again, we're just gonna keep slowly just kind of pouring it over itself. Kind of press the cheese clumps off to the side. Again, this is definitely gonna be a pain after cleaning, but what's important is they're gonna eat first, and then you're gonna feel really good about yourself, right? And then it's worth the cleaning. And just kind of either, whisk it itself using just a spoon. So just going side to side. I'm gonna turn the flame up just a little bit more now to a medium. Our chicken is now basically just slowly cooking. The chicken's already cooked. Now you're just kind of keeping it on. So we're still gonna keep it on that medium heat. The pasta on the top, as you can see, hasn't been, it's just staying on top. So we're just gonna kind of just occasionally, give it a big stir. Make sure it's just really, getting cooked in there, and that way we don't get it stuck. And then again, we're just gonna slowly do this. Now, as you can see and smell, ooh, perfect. Okay, so now you can definitely smell the cheese. What I wanna add is a little bit more garlic. And then some parsley on top. A little bit more parsley in the back over here by this chicken. A little bit more of the Italian seasoning. Just to make sure it's really good in there, and I'll mix with the cheese. And then we're just gonna do some over here on the spinach and mushroom. I'm gonna do some of the ground pepper. You don't have to grate it up, I can just kind of shake it and get a lot more in there. And then just keep mixing it slowly and slowly, and then just keep stirring that pasta. So once everything's pretty much all cooked, I'll then show you how to prepare it. Okay, now we're gonna start plating our delicious Alfredo. So we're already gonna scoop some of the rigatoni and put it in the plate. We're gonna add some of that chicken and spinach. Let's do another scoop. Delicious. Right, you kind of want to look on the side, right? You want to make this give some nice color to everything. We're gonna spin the plate around. We're gonna add a little bit of our sauce now. A small scoop, you don't really need that much. Very cheesy already as it is. We're just gonna lightly drizzle it on the side. Oh, beautiful, look at that. And that is how we make our mushroom and chicken Alfredo.